Good morning, and welcome back to the You Good Podcast, the podcast where oversharing is encouraged and the thoughts get real. Today's guest is somebody who was assigned to me before I ever really knew what brotherhood meant. He is my fraternity big brother, my family 10, Michael Gore. From pledge nights to bar stories to leadership to fatherhood, we're going to go deep into what it really means to be responsible for someone else and what that weight can do to you. So let's get into it.
I don't wanna live where I always feel broken. I just wanna live with a heart wide open. I don't ever wanna feel fear anymore. No.
Yeah, all right, good. So then we're here. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing good. Really good. Had a great weekend. I'm glad that one word worked out. The excitement paid off.
The excitement paid off. That's good to hear. Today, we are getting into a little bit more of the college years, a little bit more into the fraternity experience.
Back to Benders, huh?
Back to Benders, but more so back to somebody that was a very influential part of my life, and just, I don't know, I haven't seen or talked to him except through text in quite some time. So I'm excited to have him on here and kind of dive into everything that shaped me at UCF. This guy is responsible for all of that, whether he knows it or not, or likes it or not.
Right, wrong, indifferent. He's the one. He's the one that's responsible, huh?
Hell yeah.
Nice.
So without further ado, I want to bring on, like I said, Family 10. So our Kappa Sig fraternity. We had families, which were like little cliques in the fraternity itself, and he was the leader of Family 10 when I came in. I want to introduce you to Michael Gore. Mike, welcome to the You Good Podcast, buddy.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it, man. It's been a long time since we've had some catch-up time, so I'm looking forward to chatting and taking a trip down memory lane with you. And Nick, great to meet you.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting into it with you guys.
I want to say the last time I've seen you was probably college, right?
Man, I mean, that was a long time ago. I feel like we probably have crossed paths at some point, right? Like I wrapped up in 2009. When did you finish college?
11.
Okay. I feel like sometime maybe at a tailgate in 15, 16, we probably crossed paths, but certainly the better part of probably 8+ years.
Yeah. You were my big, and it's funny how, life changes, and I've watched you become a father, and, we've reconnected on wrestling. I think it's been kind of fantastic what social media has been able to do for us. It's kept us a little closer than, probably wanted to be a little bit closer than we have been. So it's, like I said, it's a good night for me, and I'm happy to see your face.
Likewise, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's start with what we do on a bi-weekly basis here is a song that maybe you've been listening to in the last week or so that kind of either has kept your mental spirits high or just has kept you focused. I know that you're a bodybuilder. We'll talk into that. So I don't know if there's a certain song or something you listen to the gym. What do you got for us?
Man, that's a hard one. I'll tell you what, like 2025 has been a year of like concerts for me. And I don't think I've been to so many concerts this year than probably the last 7 combined. So this is not one specific song for you, but I'll tell you that in like the last 3 months, man, I went and I saw Coldplay, and I saw The Weeknd, and I saw Alex Warren like 4 days ago. And I'd say if you're going to put me on the spot and say like what's kind of getting me through life, it's probably a little bit of a mix. Probably The Weeknd more than anything else. On the gym side, it's probably Drake or Jeezy that I'm listening to in the gym. But,
Drake.
But
New Drake or old Drake?
Old Drake.
Okay, that's fair.
But I don't have an exact song for you, but I'd say anything between probably as sappy as it is, maybe Alex Warren over the last week or so, just since that concert was literally last Wednesday.
Is that Ordinary? Right?
That's right. That's right. It's a good song.
Ordinary. Yeah. For sure. How about you, Nick?
I'm going to go with Alan Stone and mind.
I don't know who
Brown.
I don't know who any people you said are.
I don't know who that is either.
Of course, yeah. He's similar to Teddy Swims, but he's from the Pacific Northwest. So imagine like Teddy Swims vibes, but the song would be Brown Eyed Lover.
It's about buttholes.
No, it's about a woman with brown eyes.
A woman's butthole.
They say that Brown Eyed Girl is about a butthole.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
Hey, they say that's what they say that song's about. So when we did our Suicide Awareness Month episode, I obviously started posting some reels, and my algorithm took over, and it gave me a lot of Chester Bennington, and
Nice.
Linkin Park and Hybrid Theory started popping up. So I've actually had a Hybrid Theory on repeat in my car for probably the better part of a week, and there's so many classics on that song, but In the End is just a song that I play all the time. I love that song. It's good for me to belt out. It gets some of that angst out, so Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park, 2000s. Gosh, that album's 25 years old now.
Jeez.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
It's crazy.
That's absurd.
that's a good album.
That is. Yeah, the fact that it's 25 years ago is. I've never felt older than I do right now.
All right. So let's get into the Big Brother assignment. And I kind of want to dig into you and see what you think and what you feel and what you remember. And I guess my first question to you is something that always stuck with me is when you get assigned a big brother, right? It's usually one big brother. There's not really two littles for everybody. But for us, it was myself and Jordan Chusid as your two littles.
Right.
And I just want to go through, was
What?
was that your choice? Yeah. So he got two littles. And I want to know, was that your choice?
What's so funny, Nick?
Just Chusid too. That's.
Oh,
Oh, he knows him?
I forget. He knows Chusid. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I forgot
Well,
about
that's
that.
absurd. That is absolutely absurd.
Chusid's in our fantasy baseball and fantasy football
Oh,
groups.
nice. Okay.
So he knows Nick very well for a few years now.
Got you. Okay.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Man, all right. So, man, I got to take you a little bit further back though to kind of walk the dynamic of how it kind of comes to be.
Let's do it.
All right. So I went through an 05. You were 07, right?
Correct.
Right. Okay. So 05. So I go through an 05 as a freshman, not knowing my head from my ass, and man, I hated fraternity life like the first year. It was it's all cliques, and you got to find a clique to get into, and especially if you don't live in the house, it's you got to gravitate towards people, right? And there's almost this changing of the guard every couple of years. And so 05, I got in and I basically just ghosted. I just paying the dues and I would come to chapter, and chapter's the weekly meeting, Nick. But
He's in a fraternity.
That's right. Well, I mean, your audience might not know that he's in a
There you go. That's
right?
the right way to point it.
All right. So,
They know.
So, all right. So 05, get in, ghost, and then 06.
But
so actually,
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Why ghost? Why rush if it's not your thing? Did you know anybody when you got to UCF?
Man, so I knew a handful of people, and they were all, from so I'm from Coral Springs, they were from Coral Springs, they're in this fraternity, it just seemed like a natural click. And so you do it to try to meet people, but you're timid that first year. You're 18, 19, you're a pledge, you're getting picked on, you're getting fucking the brunt work of responsibilities and picking guys up who are dicks to you from bars and stuff, and you're I don't want to do this shit. This is awful. So but you go through half the pledgeship, and you're I'm not gonna quit. I cannot drop out of this. I got to see this thing through to the end to see how this story plays out. So you finish, and then you get to the other side, and you're like, all right, now what? So I didn't really go on socials. The house was on campus, which was honestly probably the main selling point to rushing a fraternity on campus, because like you get to go to class, you get to use their parking lot, like this is great, right? So then like 06, I kind of reemerged. And then before you and Chusett came along, I took Danny Nissim as a little brother. So, Danny and I, absolute total coincidence. So when I was a little kid, and I don't even know that you know this, but so when I was a little kid and I lived in New Jersey, I'm talking like 6, 7, 8, like I was friends with Danny's cousin. And like, so fast forward, 20 years later in college.
I did not know that.
I meet Danny, and I guess he came to Rush with his cousin, and then like, so there was this like natural bond, and I was like, okay, well, like I need you to be my little brother, because I think in a way it would help me enjoy the fraternity life more. So like I take Danny, right? And so I'll cut to the chase, and then an 07 comes along, and then by 07 I had taken on more responsibility in the fraternity. So for new member orientation, you've got like the brotherhood development chairs. They put together all the events and stuff. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to invest in the fraternity by doing something. So it became the chair. So I was basically responsible for all of the new members, for all of the pledges, right? When you show up on time, collecting your dues, just holding everybody accountable. And I thought that would help me in a way meet like the new crop of guys coming in, as opposed to trying to meet the guys that were on their way out. Like I'm talking about the changing of the guard, right? So I'm already in, you want to be in, like let me kind of pick and choose through the crop of who's coming in and figure out who I want to associate with. And then so the process of getting a little brother, if you remember, you actually fill out a slip and you're like, these are the guys that I want. And you filled it out, Chris, and you said like, I want Mike and John and Steve, and then it goes. And then
I don't remember that.
Then the phone calls get made, and it's like, hey, do you want to take Chris? And it's like the first question anybody asks is, what number did he put me as? Like, because you don't want to be the last guy, right? If you put me as 5, then fuck you. I don't want to be your big brother. So I'm almost certain that you had put me at 1, and I had privy to see your cheat sheet because I was the one kind of collecting the notes and stuff. So like I saw you, and then what happens is the rotation goes basically everybody gets 1, and then it comes around the horn again. So, but because I had kind of all of the slips, all the power, like I'm looking through and I'm seeing like who put me at first, right? And I see you and I see Chusett, and I'm like, okay, well this dynamic could work. So you guys were like total opposites. But I think maybe selfishly, like I could take some of your qualities and traits, and like this could be a lot of fun. Like you're big and sweaty, and we could throw you at a liquid cellar, and then Chusett's, Chusett, and so you guys just complimented each other real well. So that's how it worked. Like I saw that you guys picked me, and then your only basic commitment really is make sure that number one, you got to show up at chapter to be the voice for these guys. And you got to make sure you got to hold them accountable. You got to make sure they don't piss off any brothers, any members. And you got to buy them a jersey. Like that's it. That's the basic of when you sign up for a brother.
You were junior year, right? You would have been junior year when I was incoming freshman. Right. And this would have been your second round of getting a big brother. But was it Grandmaster, or were you a different title?
It's a Grandmaster of Ceremonies.
Grandmaster of Ceremonies. Okay, so I was right there. You're kind of still finding yourself, right? You're footing. You're prepping through college. You're a junior, so you have a year or two left before you're out the door into the real world. Did you feel prepared to raise a group of freshmen? Like that's a lot on top of being, the Grandmaster of Ceremonies and having to plan out all these meetings. What was that like? And how did that impact you?
The transition is almost, I would venture to say the transition from the guy who runs the committee as Brotherhood Development probably naturally transitions into Grandmaster of Ceremonies. So on the one side, it's basically good cop, bad cop. So you're everybody's best friend, and like I'm the guy consoling you on Wednesday nights when you're getting the shit scared out of you. And then fast forward a semester or a year later, and like now you're basically the pledge master, and you're responsible for safely making sure everybody gets through, but making sure everybody has a kind of a memorable time. So you go really from being good cop to bad cop. So, I mean, to answer your question, like, yeah, you're juggling your own, like self, right? You're 19 years old, maybe 20, right? Probably 19. And you have your own classes to attend. You might not have a girlfriend. I think I had a girlfriend at the time. You're dealing with 2 little brothers who are pledges, and you're trying to, run the show from, and if you remember at the time, this might be either your semester or the semester right after, but we were suspended and we went on after. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all of those documents, will forever have my name associated as Grandmaster of Ceremonies during the legal proceedings that came that next year. And you're scared that like you've got long-term ramifications, and all you wanted to do was just kind of party and have a good time. And now this could stay with you forever. So it's a juggling act for sure.
Were there times that you just mentioned about how maybe you joined the fraternity to just drink and party, and it turned into other things, business associations, potentially legal things? Was there ever a time where you questioned the whole fraternity system? Like you mentioned, there was a lot of cliques. Did it ever help you or also hurt you mentally? Was that draining?
So Nick, you don't know who this person is, but Chris, you know Tyler Cafferty, right?
Yep.
So Tyler, if you can recall, man, even throughout college and beyond college and into the professional world, like Tyler is my business mentor, and Tyler was the GM. He was the president, right, when I was the GMC, and even through the legal proceedings, through the suspension and stuff, like I was always one step behind him, just kind of learning from him. So, and if he can keep his composure throughout all that stuff, like then you have to keep your composure, and like that's what I remember in those months. Because as pledge master, like there are times where like you want to take the mask off, and like you want to have fun with the guys too. But then you got to remember, like you can't be a badass on Wednesdays and be partying with these guys on Thursdays. Like you can't do that. You got to decide where you lie. And so a lot of that resonated, into the business world too. It's like as you climb up, like you can't be everyone's friend, but then try to reprimand people for insubordination or doing the wrong thing at work, right? Like you got to decide, are you here to make friends? Are you here to make money? Right? I know you know that phrase.
All right, CM Punk.
So
it's I mean, I definitely remember nights where you were like, I can't go out, I can't party with you guys, and there was, definitely a form of, hey, this is business and this is the time that we party. When Chusid left, so Chusid left college. He left UCF and he went to Miami. Do you feel like we then got a little bit more time together? Because after that suspension, so the chapter got suspended, everybody got put on hold. We weren't really bringing in a new pledge class after that. And our pledge class, Beta Gamma, we kind of, because a lot of that was tied to us with Theo and everybody, we kind of left, right? A lot of people made a decision, like Todd Robbins, to either stay or go. And a lot of us chose, okay, we've made our friends, we have our brothers, we have our cliques, we're not living in the house, let's kind of be Kappa Sigma separate away from all of the chapter meetings and everything like that. Where did you see that? Because you left shortly after, I believe, right?
So I left in 2009. So I remember a very vivid night in chapter, and so I was I had a semester left, and like there were the elections were coming up for like president and stuff, and I basically said, like, I will stay in college for an extra semester. So I will basically, you got to commit to a year, right? So I had a
Right.
semester left of senior year, but I will stay for an extra semester if the chapter deems it necessary for me to be the GM. And I didn't win the election, and it was fine. And I rode off into the sunset, and I finished college May of 2009, and I left. But to kind of answer your question, I mean, don't forget, Chris, like, there was all of that, like, college bar life that was totally untapped before, right? So I think that you and I, we could tell stories, on this episode or another, like all of the Liquid Cellar and TD's nights, right? All of that, I think, regardless of the fraternity life, like, it was you and me in those grinds, right? Like, I was working the door and you were throwing security, and like 2:00 would hit and the lights come on and it's just like shove people out the door, right? So I think that that's what kind of, kept our bond strong, not necessarily the fraternity life.
I agree. And so when I came to college, I said this in a past episode that I didn't know anybody, right? I was very timid. I wanted to make friends. That's why I rushed the fraternity. And when I got there, I just, obviously, the girls and the women were in the chapter house, but there were also the guys that were talking sports, a lot of South Florida people as well. And I gravitated towards Houston. I gravitated towards Fruckman, people that were talking sports. And one thing that I was not big on was drinking and partying. And I know that's hard to believe if,
Yeah.
especially Nick, if you know me now. And I remember walking into this fraternity house and everybody's partying. And I'm just like, okay, well, my partying has just been like house parties with the baseball dudes. Like, nothing was ever that crazy. So fast forward, I rushed this fraternity, and Mike becomes my big, and he was security at one of the nastiest, skeeziest little dive bars at UCF at the time. And they called me Big Sweaty. So during our...
Carry towel.
I still carry a sweat towel to this day, but during their chapter nights, they used to turn the AC off and make us sweat. And it would just be so hot standing in these hallways, and I'm drenched, and we have to stand there in the dark, and they're like, don't say anything. I hope it's okay to say this, Mike.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
And so my name became Big Sweaty.
Statutes, right. Statute of liability.
So Mike is a door guy, security, and Danny, his other little, is a DJ. And they're like, oh, we should bring our new little into this whole family affair. And you're a big guy, you seem mean, but although I wasn't, I think I'd maybe been in one fight in my entire life up to this point. Like, I was not aggressive. I was not, I didn't have all this testosterone. I wanted to go fight everybody. And they're like, let's go be a security guard. I'm like, all right, I'll go check this bar out. So they bring me, like, this place smelled like shit. It looked like shit, but the bartenders were so hot. And Mike's like, yeah, you'll meet, sorority girls, and you'll work the door. You can let people in, and you can, sneak underage wristbands and do what you want, and nobody really cares. Talk to me, Mike, about Liquid Cellar, I guess how you got there and why you roped me into that life.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. So, I don't even know. I don't know what exists at this point around UCF, but so you had Devaney's, you had Library, you had Scoop.
I don't think
Pounders,
any of them are left.
And you had Pub, right? Pub was probably closed at this point because it's like,
it was. Yeah.
All right. So you got those spots, right? And those spots were basically run by other fraternities. And we might have had one guy at one of those places on a Wednesday night. And I was looking for a job. And I don't know why. I was probably in that Lazy Moon McDonald's Plaza, probably getting a sub from Silvermine Sub. And I walked in to Liquid Cellar. And Liquid Cellar at the time was not a college bar. It was like a grunge rock bar. They'd have live music. They didn't know anything about all you can drink nights. That wasn't their thing. And so I got a job as a barback, and I'd work Friday, Saturday, whatever the case was, Friday, Saturday, and I'd come to chapter and I'd try to get people to come out to this place, and nobody wanted to come. And I don't blame it. It was a shithole. It was awful.
Shithole.
And I did the bitch work of a bar back in a place, even, but those places like Scoop Pounders, those bar backs, those guys in college, you'd make $150, $200 a night as a bar back. Like this place, I'd be there from 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. and I'd make $30, and it was fucking awful. And so, I approached, I think one night the door guy was out and they asked me to work the door, and I did. And the door is a flat fee, right? Like you don't stay, you don't clean. And I was like, this is great. You come in at 8, you leave at 2, you get a flat fee. That's awesome. I want to do this, right? So I start working the door, and then, I'm just trying to brainstorm and bring some of those other college ideas like, power hour or bottomless drinks or like pitchers, right? And bring it to these guys. And it was like, you have to do what everybody else is doing. And kind of begrudgingly decided, okay, they did it. But the clientele that would go there was the worst riffraff of Orlando. Like even like those places at Scoop and Pounders were doing the same special, but they had the sorority girls and they had the underage guys. This was like the grimiest people from Orlando would come to this place.
and he's like, come work with me.
But gradually over time, what happened was the older Kappa Sig guys would just come because it was like free drinks, right? You pay a $10 cover. You pay free drink. They're not there to hit on girls anyway. Like, they're just drinking and going back to the house. It's right across the street. And then, so they start coming and then people start trickling in. And then somehow the idea gets brought up of like, okay, we'll give you guys the opportunity to have like a Kappa Sig night, right? Okay. So now you've got a door guy, you've got a DJ. Well, we need a security guard and we need a bartender, but all the bartenders at that time were girls. So then, somebody gets brought in as a bartender and then the dynamic starts to shift. And then Liquid Cellar kind of becomes this little shithole for Kappa Sig, because we weren't cool enough to have a slew of bartenders at any of the other spots. So that's how you got brought in.
We had like one at Library, and I think we had one at Devaney's. I do remember that.
That's it.
Did you bring in Amber, or was she there before you?
No, she was there. She was there.
She was there. I remember one night, I like I said, I had never gotten into fights. I had never gotten hit. And like, Nick, this was the place where people were bringing like shotguns out into the parking lot, and there were like standoffs outside of this place. But I remember one night, well, I don't even think it was a night. I think it was like a happy hour, like 4, 5, 6 o'clock. And me and, who was it? Brent, right? Brent was the other security guard?
Yeah, Silva. Yeah.
Yeah. So me and my fraternity brother Silva were security, and it's just us two, and this fight breaks out. And I remember we're standing like back to back, and he's like, there's too many guys fighting, but we have to stop this. I don't know why we had to. Like, it's not our responsibility, I guess. But he's like, we have to stop this. He's like a jiu-jitsu, MMA, like a real fighter. I'm just big, big for nothing, very soft. And he's like, all right, stand behind me. We got this. And all of a sudden, he swings. And I'm like, what the fuck? So then these guys that are fighting each other turn to fight us. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I remember I looked left, and I got punched so hard from the right. And it was like the first time I'd ever actually got hit in the face. And something just snapped into me. The adrenaline took over. I'm like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, and there was like beer pong tables, and we're slamming people through beer pong tables. We're breaking up this fight. And like from that happy hour on, I was just like, okay, I can do this. I can be security. I don't have to be afraid of these people. I am big. I can take a punch. But on some of these nights, there were dudes that were bigger than me. There were gangsters with guns. Yeah. Mike would always be like, oh, that guy's strapped. Don't mess with that crew. Don't mess with these people. If something happens, stay away from that. And like, that's just what kind of bar it is. But it became
call the cops.
With Danny being DJ, like I remember Danny started taking over, and it actually became a real college bar, enough to where they moved Liquid Cellar to what was that? No, what was that restaurant though? It was Don Pablo's Don Juan's, Don something. The brick building.
They bought
next to the
a
restaurant?
standalone building.
No. That what you're thinking of, that was TD's. Cellar never moved. Cellar, unless
right.
after I left.
No,
But
TD's, but that was like a Don Pablo's or something, right?
I don't know what it was, but it was a standalone building. It was not part of a complex.
It was a restaurant that they invested in, and they opened up a second bar, and they were like, yeah, you guys go run this bar, and we're going to make this, like, you know, these people were so skeezy. They were the ones who would, like, bring in the Girls Gone Wild girls and the buses.
Oh.
And we would have Girls Gone Wild nights, like, taping at our bar, which in 2007, I don't even know if Girls Gone Wild actually released videos anymore, so I don't know what they were taping.
Yeah.
And it was just, it definitely opened up a whole different social side of me. You turned me into an alcoholic, so thank you for that. You showed me how to party, and I never kind of took my foot off the gas, and I know you ended up not being as big of a partier.
No, but so I want to just say, at the TD's, the cellar nights, the one vivid night I remember with you when we were working, like, Nick, at 2:00 on the dot, 2:00, like, the music could be playing, and the light, like, at 2:00, the music turns off and the lights go on, and it's like, get the fuck out. Everybody leave this place right now.
Yeah.
And you're just moving people out, and there was a guy heading toward, like, he was finishing his drink, but at 2:00, like, these security guards are just smacking drinks out of your hand. Like, you don't get to drink it. Get the fuck out. So I'm telling Chris, like, get him out. Get him out the door. And he's
behind me. He's behind me, pushing me to tell these people to get out. Let's make that clear. He's using me as a shield.
Yeah. So I remember this guy, so he's drinking, and Chris slaps a drink out of his hand, and he's pushing him, and the guy fumbles and kind of just drops his wallet, and I probably pushed Chris, and Chris pushed him, and he pushed him out the door, gone, out the door, and I pick his wallet up, and I fling it outside, and all of his shit flies everywhere.
Oh no.
That's what it was like in Liquid Cellar, man.
I remember something like that.
And then when they opened that second spot, like, they thought they were so high and mighty about this place, so they would take like the best of the bartenders, and you would bartend at TD's, and they'd leave all the rejects at Liquid Cellar, and they were the craziest nights at Liquid Cellar because, like, the owners never came. It was just like, you just had this free for all to just party in this bar because they were off with the Girls Gone Wild bus
at TD's.
These guys were like, I don't know, they were probably in their 40s hitting on these 18, 19, 20-year-old girls. It was disgusting looking back on it. But I remember asking for a raise, and I got I was getting like, I think I was getting like $10 an hour, and then they bumped me up to like $20 an hour, and I asked for more because we're always asking for more. And I remember them telling, like, no, that's all you'll ever make. And so they had me at door, and they have no cameras in this place. I think they have cameras like by their back office and maybe by the back door. And somebody tells me, hey, there's no camera at the front door. I'm not going to say who it is. And so I started selling wristbands to underage kids. Hopefully there's no cops, but we're way past that time frame.
Did you check, dude? I didn't.
What's the statute of limitations? But back then we used to get raided all the time. All the time they would raid these bars, and Liquid Cellar was the one where you could get the easiest wristband because we would just sell them and make all this money, because it was like, fuck these guys. If they're not going to pay us, we're going to make our own money. And even to the point where, like, when the bar closed, we would steal their Grey Goose, and then we'd tell them, oh, we ran out of Grey Goose.
They don't
we need
exist
more.
No more, right? Like,
they don't. These guys are probably either in jail or dead on meth or crack or something. I don't fucking know. But to the point, like, at 2 a.m. when the bars closed, we would raid all the good alcohol, and we'd go have a party either at the fraternity house or somebody's apartment or somebody's house. And it was just, I remember waking up one morning so hungover from work, where I woke up to like $500 or $600 in my pocket of cash. and I went to Best Buy and bought a TV because I wanted a TV. I didn't have a TV in my apartment. And I bought like a flat screen TV, put it up on my wall, and it's just from a random Tuesday night, like having this fuck you Cash way back in the day.
Yeah, fuck you Cash. That's right.
I celebrated my 21st there. I think you either carried or kicked me out of TDs, maybe once or twice.
Probably.
But I was there for multiple times. It was Liquid Stellar TDs. If people are listening to this from Orlando, they know that was a wild time, and it is not something that would ever happen in today's world at all.
No.
But it definitely shaped the way, I don't know, I learned a lot of things about business, but also how to treat people and kind of how to defend myself, all within one weird realm of things thanks to this guy.
So you grew up.
I guess so. Not really. No, I definitely did not grow up yet. Not while he was still there. Before we move on for college, Mike, give me. I mean, we could sit here and talk about so many things. I guess we can't really talk about them because we're not supposed to. Do you remember Budweiser Pledge?
With the one with the beer taped to his hands? Is that what that was?
No, that was the 40s. That was 40s.
Yeah, is this the one you had to have a beer on you at all time to give? What was?
Yeah,
what
but
was the Budweiser Pledge?
Do you remember what I wore?
No, remind me.
So I got, during initiation, Nick, I got chosen to be what they called Budweiser Pledge, where whenever any of the brothers wanted a beer, I had to have a beer on hand at all times to give it to them. But also, if they wanted me to drink a beer, I had to drink the beer.
Oh.
And so this is, the chapter was on Wednesday nights, right? Was it Wednesdays?
No, chapters were Sundays.
Oh. What was on Wednesdays?
Pledge nights were Wednesdays.
Pledge nights.
I would have been
pledge night.
I would have been Budweiser Pledge on Sundays.
You were in a frat for how long? A day? Jesus Christ, dude.
So Wednesdays...
I don't remember shit.
Wednesdays were the ritual pledge night. Sunday mornings would have been the educational portion. You'd come and you'd learn about the history of the fraternity. So you were probably drunk between Wednesday to Sunday.
We'd never had those. We didn't have those.
Yes, you did.
1,000% probably did.
1,000% you had them. How you tell? I ran them. On
Sunday mornings?
Sunday mornings, 11 o'clock, you'd come, you'd read from the green book, you'd learn about the history, then you'd clean the fucking house.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, then Sunday nights we had chapter, though.
Sunday nights were chapter.
So Sunday night is when I would have been...
Sunday mornings were for pledges. Sunday nights were for the brothers. So are you talking about you being a Budweiser Pledge? Then you would have been a Budweiser Pledge on a Sunday morning.
Or a Wednesday night.
Or a Wednesday night. Or a random Thursday, you would have been holding beers.
Yeah, you wait, so was it the whole pledgeship that you had to do Budweiser Pledge, or was it just initiation?
Okay, no.
Like last week, like Hell Week that you were doing.
You're right then, because I remember getting spit in my face, hammered drunk during one of the initiation nights. Okay, you're right then. So then I was Budweiser Pledge during Wednesday nights, and I had to get the brothers' beers, or if they told me to drink a beer, I had to drink a beer. Now, I had a too small cut-off shirt that went just above my nipples. It was a Budweiser shirt, and then I also had to wear these shorts that were about mid-thigh high, and carrying around beer. So my big-ass self in a midriff cut-off shirt that said Budweiser, and I had to wear these little shorts. And every Wednesday, without question, they had me absolutely hammered because they're like, "Give me a beer. Now you drink one. Give me a beer. Now you drink one." And I remember this one night where they brought me into one of the rooms, and it was Matt Brown, I believe, and somebody else. I think it was you. There was a bowl of, somebody was eating a bowl of cereal or something, and they had an old English, like in the fridge or freezer, that was stale. And so they took this old malt liquor and they mixed it with like Gatorade, and then they put the cereal milk in it, and they're like, "All right, now pour your beer in there, and you have to chug that beer and get back in line."
Oh no.
And that moment, like, will always stick with me because I just remember how disgusting it was. And I never threw up, but I was always walking around the house. And then, oh, you gonna throw up? And, oh, big sweaty. Do you ever do you ever regret how mean you might have? Not to me. I don't. You were never too mean, but I just, and maybe not even you in particular, but some of these brothers were like real assholes to these guys.
Right.
And I know it was just, oh, we're beating you, we're tearing you down to build you up, and you know, you got to be one of us. Some of it, but do you ever regret either watching guys cross the line or be too mean, or being too mean yourself when you kind of look back on it sometimes?
So most of my memories are more so they're either on the funnier side of things to do to people, or I feel like they shaped you, but they were not, like, they might have been intimidating, but I guarantee I gave you like a memory to look back on, where I would hope that the majority of people that either went through when I was either the committee chair or the GMC weren't like, fuck this guy, right? Like, you know, I did some things, but never grounds for, like, you know, ramifications from UCF. Like, I
Right.
you know, I made a guy stand against the wall in the corner, and then went to work, and then told him he wasn't allowed to leave from the corner of the wall. Or I made guys, and this might have been you, or might have been the pledge class before you, but I made guys go down to downtown Orlando and get me a Gore Street sign, and had them, you know, unscrew that sign off. It's in my garage.
Yeah.
But
that was us.
But the caveat to that is you guys signed it, and I have it on the wall in my garage. So, like, you know, those type of memories, I would hope people there. I was witness to some like scary shit. You know, just the screaming, like, in your face type deal, which I don't think builds character. Like, there's no reason to demoralize somebody like that when he's 18 and you're only 19. Like, who are you? Or in some cases, guys rush in their junior year, or the guy you're screaming at, 21 and you're 19. Like, who the fuck are you?
Oh yeah, I had grown ass men in my pledge class.
Yeah,
like from the military, fucking came back. I mean, like, grown ass men, like 30-year-old fucking men pledging with us. I'm like, what? Why? You're like, I got nothing else. I've been on a submarine for 6 years. Fair enough, dude. Get you some pussy.
Yeah. So I can't think of an instance where I think I crossed the line with anybody. Hopefully I left, you know, some lasting impressions on people. But yeah, that's how I would chalk it up.
I was all about it, man. I was definitely all about it. You know, I remember, I don't know if you remember me crying at formal. Do you remember that?
Which
the formal right before you left. It would have been your last formal.
It would have been my last formal?
It would have been your last formal.
I was blacked out of my last formal.
Oh, yeah. We were both blacked out, and I just remember crying because you were leaving, and you're just like, fucking suck it up, dude. Like, what are you crying for? Like, we'll still be friends.
Though, man. Like,
no,
that's
I know.
How it's supposed to be.
You know, pledge night, initiation night, they're all nights that I'll always remember that I can only talk about to certain people.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so any before we get into the last story, any other memories, stories of college you want to run through, talk about?
Man, I don't know that. You know, I know that you didn't live in the house, but I would say
because of Gabe, only because of Gabe.
Why?
Because I was supposed to live in a house. I had a room, and then Gabe, I guess his apartment fell out or something, and he needed to come back, and so they gave him the room and took me out and made me leave.
Okay. Yeah, I would say, man, that was probably the highlight. Living, like, so those, I think, you know, those, I don't regret the first year of kind of going AWOL, because that was a decision. Like, I didn't felt like I fit in with the guys that were there at the time. But by like 2007, I think I kind of hit my stride, and I had moved in, and I'd spent 2007 to 2009 living in the house, and like, I think I maximized the time there. And you know, it's funny because I would say, when you go into that type of a situation, like there's 120 guys, like your brain is firing and you're just like, gotta make friends. And then when you come out 4 years later, like you have a handful of friends, and then a decade later, a fraction of those have fallen off, and you're left with like lifelong core friends. And yeah, that's what I would chalk it up to. It was a good time, man.
Agreed. Even though I wasn't there for 4 years, I still, some of my best friends are from my pledge class, and I talked to so many people that were still a part of my life back then. The last story was, ironically, last episode, out of nowhere, unplanned, even though that Mike was this week's guest, unplanned, we talked about weddings, and I told a story about getting invited to a wedding but not getting a +1, and it turns out that it was Mike's wedding, and listening back
to the podcast, and Mike listened to the podcast.
Mike listened to that episode, and he texted me, and I texted you back because when I listened back to it, it sounds really bad, like I was blaming it on you when I really wasn't. It was more blaming my partner, who I was with at the time, because we did talk about Nick and I, how, she was the reason I didn't go because she didn't want me to go to the wedding myself.
Right.
But from your perspective, Mike, let's talk about your invitation and the wedding.
It's funny because I've been listening to that podcast. I was actually driving back from Orlando for work, and I'm driving, and I knew I'd be on this week, and I was like, you know what? Let me listen to your latest one. I'm listening, and the topic, the actual overall topic was about bro code, and I was listening, and there was moments before it was talking about bro code, and it was like, what's a bro code? Okay, well, so you don't sleep with your best friend's wife, or like there's a line that you don't kind of cross, and then somehow it morphed in that same breath into weddings. And as soon, even before you had gotten there, I was like, this motherfucker didn't come to my wedding. And then it goes there like 10, 15 seconds later, and it's like the only time I've ever encountered a problem where I didn't get a +1, and I was like, is he gonna fucking talk about my wedding? And he's like, my big brother's wedding, I didn't get a +1. And I was like, yeah, I remember that exactly how it went down. So I got married in 2014, right? So I finished college in 2009, 2014. What are we talking? 5 years later?
Right.
So I'm probably, I don't know, what's 25? You're
at
building
best,
this guest
at best 25.
you're building this guest list, and it's like, okay, so here's the thought process that I went through, and I remember this, and it wasn't about Chris, it was really the thought process of outlining an invite list. And it's like, okay, if I haven't, like, somebody told me this along the lines when it came time to prepping an invite list. If I haven't talked to you like leading up to the wedding, and I probably won't talk to you the day after the wedding, do you really need to be there, right? So that's number one. And then it was like, okay, well, no, I want Chris to come. Okay, well, is he married? No, he's not married. Okay, have I met his girlfriend? Never met his girlfriend. That was the final nail. It was like, I don't even know what her name is. So, and you're stroking a check at $200 a plate dinners, and it's like,
Nailed it.
That's what you said. That's what he said. Yep.
I said $200. I was like, it's like $200 a plate, bro. Like, how are you? Like, how could you be mad at that? And I'm like, if anything, It's your fault for not going.
Beachfront wedding, worst money I ever spent in my life. I wish I never did it. So you got 150 people. The one thing I will say, and this everybody can feel how they want during their wedding night, but with 150 guests, right? And I have a very, very small family, right? So I think my family and my friend group probably did not eclipse, let's call it 40 people, right? So I was like, you know what?
Wow.
I don't give a fuck about any of these people that are here that I don't know, right? So like, I didn't make an effort because I was like, you know what? It's my wedding. Like, you want to come talk to me, congratulate me, talk to me. But I'm not going around shaking hands at every table. I'm going to enjoy my time at my wedding. And you missed a hell of a piano man. and you missed like a hell of a just, like my shirt came off at the end of the wedding. Like it was a wild night. But that's what it chalked up to. So it was like, man, it was nothing against you, right? I think there might have been 3 or 4 people kind of in that same boat where it was like, man, this is 2014. I haven't seen you since 2009. Don't know your girlfriend's name. You're not married. You know, that's what it came down. And I believe, and I think you were telling me that like, well, I might come down and leave her in the hotel room, and I'll come down for the wedding. I think, and then at the very last minute, you're like, I'm not gonna come. And I said, okay.
Yeah,
I would think that's almost worse, dude. To me, I think
that is worse.
I think like going down there, you got to stay here for 5 hours while I go get shithouse, and and just have a great time. You gotta listen to it.
But at the same time, like it wasn't me, right? If it was me, I would have been there. But it was her, being like, hey, I don't want you to go to this wedding alone. It's your fraternity brother. There's going to be girls there, blah, blah, blah. Like, whatever the excuses are. But that's just the relationship that I was in.
Yeah.
And like Mike said, we hadn't seen each other for probably 5 years. We probably texted minimally. And it just, I probably decided it's better to not get yelled at home than to. I've only missed 2 brothers' weddings, yours and Todd Robbins, and Todd's was because I was in Hawaii, and yours was the other one. The only ones I've ever missed. And Nick nailed on the head when he said he was probably a young guy, trying to keep the wedding at a low cost. And I never once held it against you. It's just a story that popped up, but I will never forget that I did miss your wedding. Yeah.
Catch the next one.
So
it's perfect segue. Okay. I mean, that is flawless.
Jesus. So I guess let's move forward, right? Yep. We grow up, we move past college. Unfortunately, we go through separations, we go through processes. I think we've all been there. I've been there. Nick has been there.
Yeah.
And a lot changed, right? A lot changed from your 21-year-old self into, 10 years later, going into manhood, going into fatherhood. You weren't in college anymore. Let's talk about that aspect. I want to talk about, let's start with bodybuilding.
Okay.
Let's start with bodybuilding because it tells a story and it leads up, right?
Yeah, sure. Man, all right. So
yeah, I was gonna say let's start with bodybuilding and why and how you got into that.
Okay. So, man, one of the biggest regrets I have at UCF is I think in 4 years I stepped foot inside that UCF gym like 3 times. Like, and that thing was state of the art, man. And it wasn't my thing. I wasn't interested. I didn't want to go. Like, and I didn't know what I was doing. So, post college, started to pick it up a little bit, started to get into kind of a routine, started to go after work. I had a shit job, but I had a 45-minute commute after work, but I knew I was going to the gym 3 days a week, 4 days a week, became 5 days a week as recreational, like nothing more. Right. And then I remember this so vivid, man. It was my older son, who's now 9, but it was his first birthday. It was the morning of his birthday, and I was getting ready, and I was brushing my teeth. I was in the bathroom, and I was shirtless. I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, man, like this isn't it. Like, I gotta do something. I gotta do something about this. Like, and I was, but I was going to the gym. That's the thing, is like I was going 3 days a week, but the diet was whatever. Like, it just, I would do 90 minutes of weight training, but it just, shit wasn't clicking. And so I said, I need accountability, right? So I had tried a bunch of these kind of fad diets and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to, this is also, so this would have been 2017. So 2017, he's 1. Social media is kind of booming. I start following these bodybuilders and stuff online. You start to paint this fake facade of what like you could look like, and you get enamored by just like this look. So I reach out to somebody and somebody local, and I was like, hey, I want you to help me on like a 4-month program to help me. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we do 4 months, and then he kind of puts the bug in my ear, and he's like, hey man, with like and he was just selling me on a program, like for 3 or 4 more months, because he wrote the diet, he wrote you need accountability, like he wrote the diet, he wrote the cardio schedule, we would train together once a week, you know, and I was paying him monthly, right? So at 4 months, he's trying to sell me. He's like, hey man, for 3 more months, like we could get you into like a bodybuilding show. And I was like, yeah, like I need an end goal to this. So I think when it was all said and done, it was probably 12 months like around the horn. So his birthday was in July, and then July of 18 was the first show I did. And like the only thing I wanted to do, like same thing with the fraternity life. Like once you're in halfway through the pledgeship, you can't quit. So I was like, I have to finish this. Like I have to finish this program. And there's a date in mind. It actually coincidentally was my birthday. July 7th was the date of the show. I'm going to do this show. I just don't want to make a fool of myself. That's the only thing I have. And so I do this first show, and I did 2 different classes, and I placed like 3rd and 5th. And I was like, wow, like that wasn't bad. And then he was like, again, the salesman. So he was like, hey man, like we can kick it into high gear another 10 weeks and get you back on stage in October. And like, yeah, let's do it. And then so 2018 turned into 2019. And then by 2019, I got rid of this guy because he was an asshole. And then, you know, it's been, so 2018, 19, 20, 21, 21, I had back surgery. I had a total disc replacement, and I took a full year between the disc replacement and like getting out of shape. And then like I kicked it on a high gear for 6 months. One of my close friends down here and I would train together 5-6 days a week and killed it for 6 months. And I ended up that first show that I did in 2018 that I came in 5th. In 2022, I won the entire show. So it was like probably over, between all the classes and everything, probably over 100, you know, guys that I won the show.
Nice.
So
yeah,
awesome.
That's wild. That's wild. And I think there's a mental aspect to that, right? It's staying on that schedule. But at the same time, do you feel that bodybuilding put a strain on your relationship, on your family, because you had to be so invested in that?
I will say without a doubt, and I probably was naive to it, and she was really supportive of it in those years, because it was like, hey, like you got to understand that, like, so I have at this point I have 2 kids under, let's call it 3, right?
Yeah.
Probably under they're 20 months apart. It's like a 1-year-old or a newborn and a 1.5-year-old. And I'm getting up at 4 a.m. I'm doing an hour of cardio. I'm going to work. I'm coming back. I'm grabbing my stuff. I'm going to weight train. And then I'm doing another 45 minutes of cardio. Like I'm easily 3 hours a day invested in the gym on top of like trying to be a dad. So like probably some of the early stages of fatherhood kind of fell flat, but the trade-off to that was, you know, her work shift was that she was gone 24 hours at a time for work. So like that was the trade-off. So I knew that I had to step up 24 hours, right? 24 hours with 2 kids.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Like middle of the night, everyone's screaming, like, and you have no breast to give. Like you're, you know, like it's a shit show. But I do think, kind of looking back, that probably that put a little bit of strain on the early years.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick, any questions around bodybuilding or routine or schedule?
No. So when you said you were working out when you first started getting into it, when your son was his first birthday, and
Right.
what finally clicked for you once you started working with the asshole? Like what finally?
Man, you can think that your diet's on point because people like, and I use this phrase all the time, like the 80-20 rule, right? Like I eat clean 80% of the time. But unless you actually write down what you eat, you probably don't eat clean 80% of the time. You probably eat clean, like even me, I probably eat clean 60% of the time. And you're not realizing that, like, if you're trying to stay in a calorie deficit, you're going overboard by not measuring stuff. So like as soon as I got the diet in check, that same level of workout, like the same 90 minutes of weight training, just clicked because the diet's in check. So, but you need accountability. What you need to do is every Sunday, you got to step on that scale and you got to send this random ass dude photos of yourself. You got to tell him what you weigh. And then he's going to tell you what a piece of shit you are. And then he's going to tell you can't have any rice for a week. Like,
not the rice.
And you got to pay for it. And you got to pay him for this service.
And you got to pay him. What is, when you get 30 plus, 35 plus, now that you are separated, you're in a different space. How do you look at the mental and physical aspect of bodybuilding? Do you still do it, correct?
So I'm on a hiatus at this point. I might do it again. The mental toll that it takes on you is such a mind fuck because you basically say, okay, for the next 16 weeks, this is my life. Like there's no alcohol. Right. There's 3 hours of weight training and cardio commitment. There's like, can't go to my kids' football game or whatever, soccer game. They don't play football, but like, that's it. This is your life. And you got to prep your own food. Can't eat out. You're not fun to be with. And as you get into week, like, let's say 12, 13, you are miserable. You are absolutely, and you want to quit, but you can't quit. Yeah. Because you can't, because you committed to this. And it's a mind fuck. And one thing, the biggest mind fuck, and anybody that's listening to your podcast, anybody who is ever like really hardcore dieted and then stopped, the body dysmorphia of the aftermath is a real mind fuck. When you go from like 5% body fat, like to 15, right? Over the, cause you just start to unravel and you're like, oh, like I can have this piece of cake tonight. Like I deserve it. And then you put on 15 pounds in a month and it unravels. And then you feel like shit. And you're like, why did I just waste 16 weeks to undo all the work? So you just got to find that happy medium, that 80-20 rule where Monday through Friday you're clean, and then Saturday and Sunday, or whatever the case may be, you take your significant other out for a nice meal.
I mean, I commend you. I can't do that. I hired a nutritionist for 4 months and I lost 65 pounds and I was at my best. I was down to almost 250, 240, which, by my BMI, they want me to be like 190, but I'll never be that. That's But I was in a healthy weight for myself. I felt great. I looked great. I wasn't snoring. And, after the nutritionist happened, it started getting really, first it started getting really expensive, right? Because you pay for the nutritionist, then you have to pay for all these special meals, and you got to eat the fish was expensive, and you got to eat the steak, and you got to eat and the chicken, and the prices keep going up. And you're like, well, Little Caesars has $5 pizza, right? Or like you said, a cake. And when you have 3 kids like I do, or, 2 kids like you do, there's always snacks in the house. And, it's 11:30. Let me just grab a yogurt or a fruit snack or some shit like that. And same thing. I watched the scale. Oh, it's only 5 pounds this month. Oh, it's only 10 pounds this month. I'm still, under my goal. And next thing you know, I'm back over 300 pounds and I feel like shit. And it's like, it mentally it hurts because it's like I knew everything that I did to get there. I don't know if I could do that again. And what's the give and take? Like I want to get there. So bad I want to be there. I can't really afford it. I don't have the time to get to the gym. Like you said, my girls have dance and gym and everything 4 or 5 times a week on top of work, on top of having, go to the gym early. Well, I got to take my kids to school at 6 a.m. And, then everybody's like, oh, well, that's just an 24 hours. Well, at some point, Well, at some point, you're burning the candle at both ends, and you have to pick: do I want to go to the gym at 10 p.m. at night, or do I want to try and get 5 hours of sleep? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's really hard. So like, I commend you for going through all of that with, the marriage and the kids and everything you had. But what's different now, and I guess is the hiatus, because you're trying to rebalance your life out, and just not being in competition gives you that time back to be there for your kids, to be there for dating. Is that what the hiatus is all about?
I'll tell you. Let me comment on something you said. Then I'll answer your question directly. So, with the balance of the kids, right? So here's kind of a couple of non-negotiables for me, right? This is just, number one. So when COVID hit, I retrofitted the garage to a gym, right? So, and then at the end of COVID, I got rid of most of the stuff, but I kept the treadmill, because my methodology was like, okay, I can find 60 minutes to weight train. I can find 60 minutes, right? 3 days a week, 4 days a week. If I can drop the kids at school, and I work remote, right? So if I drop the kids at school and I can get on the treadmill for a half hour, I knock out the treadmill part of my day. That's done. Now I only have to do 60 minutes later on in the gym, right? So, so that's, and then as far as the snacks in the house, like all of the stuff that I buy for the kids, juice, the rarity of soda, like everything is sugar free, right? So the juice, right? Like they make all the apple juice sugar free, right? So, all of the snacks that they eat and stuff, for the vast majority, like they eat the chips and all that stuff. The majority of the stuff that they eat has very low amount of sugar, because kind of by proxy, if I'm going to be snacking on it too, like it just gives me a better chance. The yogurt.
So you do it.
I do it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
80-20.
Yeah.
80-20.
Who doesn't? They're right there. Everything is right there. But you got to be smart, like he's saying. Like,
for sure.
Like I'm the same one. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I was the same way. Like when I lost 85 pounds, I'm like, I'm not going back. So it's just like, don't have it in the house, and if you have to have it in the house, have the right stuff in the house.
That's it. Have the right stuff. Like I, what's the word? Use a meal delivery service, right? Mm-hmm. So for a fraction of the meals, right? So that's a non-negotiable, because like I spend $100 a week on delivered food, and I know that I have 10 meals, right? So 10 meals across 7 days. Like I know I'm covered for that part. And that's the 80-20 that I kind of live by. As far as like the hiatus, yeah. So like the last year has been a bit of a roller coaster. With the kids though, man, like having a 9, Chris, how old's your daughter?
10.
You're older one. Nick, you have
oldest one.
Oldest one. Yeah, mine will be 16 in a month.
Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, so you're buying a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 9 and 7, man, is such a fun age. Like, and I don't want to miss any of their stuff. Like, I don't want to miss whatever they've got going on. So I basically work the schedule around their schedule. So I know, for example, like the days that I have them, like I don't train. And the days that I do have them, the days that I have them, I don't train. The days I don't have them, those are my days to go to the gym. I knocked out the treadmill in the garage. I'm doing the meal plan service, trying to stay at that 80-20 rule, so I don't ever feel guilty about being out on a Friday night and having, a dessert. Like, because I used to be crazy about it. Like, I'd never have it. Absolutely would not do it. But like, you got to give in a little bit. So that's
crazy. It's tough. It's a lot, and like I said, you look great. I commend you. There's definitely a mental aspect to it. So we go from there to, I guess let's talk about becoming a single dad. So you were with a partner who had a 24/7 work schedule. I believe she was a paramedic or fire rescue or something, yep. Right?
Yep.
And now that, even when the help was there, now that help is gone, you're on this hiatus. What does that look like? Doing everything alone with your kids, like, you know, I follow you on social media. I know that you love the time you spend with them. You take them out, and you guys have great boys' days. What does that mental toll look like, and I guess how has that changed your life?
Man, so I will say that the biggest blessing in all of this has been like you know, it's hard. Like when somebody steps in, and kind of rattles your cage and uproots your way of life and bows out and then says something like, well, now you can only see that your kid's on these days. And it's like, I don't want that. And they don't want that. But like that's the way it goes, right? So like I said about the gym, right? Like in a previous life, I would see them after the gym. The gym was a non-negotiable. 5 days a week. The days would rotate a little bit, but I'd see them at 7:30. I would miss the homework. I'm usually missing the dinner, but I'm coming home at 7:30 and I hang out with them until 9 o'clock for bedtime and I put them to bed. And when it's just you, man, your mom and your dad, you know, so you are doing everything. Like I'm doing homework, doing the drop-offs, right? Doing the laundry, and that's fine. Like I'm not complaining about the chores. What I'm saying is you have to figure out a way to not disrupt their lives any more than it's already been disrupted. So whereas I probably would have bowed out of some things, I don't want to go to the park today. I'm tired. It's 100 degrees outside. No, man, I cannot wait to get them tomorrow, right? So after school, we got to do something. We're doing something tomorrow. It's a school night. Doesn't matter. We're going to a park. We're going to dinner. And so you have to adapt. You have to. You have no choice but to figure out how to be there for them as they're going, because you are still processing what's happening, but so are they. And they don't know anything. They don't know why this has happened. You know, so you just have to figure out a way to juggle it all while putting a smile on your face.
I think that's the key, right? It's the smile on your face. It's not always easy, and it's not always true, the smile that's there. Because I remember when Kelsey and I were separating, it was the same thing, because we separated when Kinsey was 2, and I was a stay-at-home dad. So Kelsey went back to work, and I quit my job. She was making more money than me at the time, and I became a stay-at-home dad. So I raised Kinsley for the first year of her life. And then when we decided to separate, it was like, well, now this whole piece of me is gone. Yeah. I don't really know what to do with these extra days, because we, you know, the time. I won't go in. Yeah. I won't go into it, but it was a messy split for us, to where she was trying to take more days, and we ended up getting 50-50, thankfully. But it was with those other days, what do I do with myself instead of sitting here and being sad? How do I work? And Nick, we've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. How do I work on myself? How do I get better? Yes, that relationship is over. Yes, my kid is not with me all the time, but like you just said, Mike, that's life. I can't stop that. I have to move on from that and figure out a way to make this work for them, but also to take care of myself. Because if you stop taking care of yourself, you know, what else is there left in your life? Yeah. 100%. And I know that sometimes when I would get Kinsley, maybe I'm not, like you said, maybe I don't want to go outside. Maybe I don't want to go sweat. Maybe I'm super tired, but this is my time. Mm-hmm. And I know that I don't have you tomorrow or Thursday. So that'll be my time to, right, do nothing or do something else that I need to do. And right now in this moment, and it still happens today, we still, 10 years later, we're still splitting custody, obviously. But I still have that same mindset, even though I have 2 other kids who I see every day from a different relationship. It's when I get Kinsley, it's still a very different aspect of, I might be run down, sick, tired, exhausted, but if you want to go to Dave & Buster's tonight, let's do it, because I'm not going to see you again for 4 days. Yeah. And that doesn't change. And that's how it's going to be until she's 18 years old.
Yep. Or or when she gets older and she gets more busy and she can't even see you in the times that she's seen you. Like mine, she's got so much going on. Like
Yeah.
I at this point I'm like, just stay at your mom's. It's okay. Like I as much as I want you here, you're more than welcome here all the time. I'm 40 minutes away from your school. You like it just doesn't like for you. You work. She's got a part-time job. She's yearbook, softball, weightlifting. I'm like logistics,
Yeah.
like logistically, like kid. Until you're driving, and even then, you see me when on the weekends and when you can. Like, and I'll make the trip
Yeah.
always. You know, I'm a phone call away. It's not anything like that, but my biggest thing when I got separated was I became more present in and that was my biggest takeaway. I was like, I wasn't present for all of this before, and now you have to do it all. Yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah. I mean, and at the time, I that's what I held on. I was thankful for that. Like as much as everything else is burning down, I'm like, at least I have this. I can do this. Like this part of it, I have, and I get to master this part of it. So
Yeah. It's a real thing, you know. From her mother to school, 5 minutes. From me to school, 35 minutes. It's you know, here at my house, she has to wake up at 6:15. At mom's house, she doesn't wake up till 7. And
that's what I'm saying. Like
as she gets older, it's gonna change. I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. But all of us here, what we do is we try to be the best father we can when the time is, and I think that's what makes a man, you know, separate from a boy. You know, there's so many people out there that are not fathers. They are not present, and it's up to the mothers. But I like to surround myself with men who take responsibility for their kids. And when you have a passion for your kids, I think it's a completely different aspect of who you are.
I couldn't agree more, man. It's you know, it's crazy that you wouldn't want to be involved in every aspect of your kid's life, right? And so to have the court system or whatever the case may be, or however you figure out custody, but like any adjustment when you're used to seeing them for the first year of her life, you know, or for the first 9 years of my kid's life, like all of a sudden it's like, no, like you don't get this anymore. It's like, that's hard. That's the roller coaster of emotion that you go through from, you know, like you're in the grief process for your own psyche, and then but you have to just man up for your kids. Like you can't, like they don't know what's going on, and like they don't really care what's going on, right? Like they just need the best version of their dad. So like however you have to figure out how to cope behind the scenes, like you got to do that and roll your sleeves up and just be there for them, and make sure that whatever lifestyle they are accustomed to, you know, you try your hardest. That's it. Like you got to step up, you got to provide, you got to be there on, you know, the sporting events, like whatever it is. Like they cannot have any kind of adjustment that offsets them, or you know, you don't know the long-term effect of that for them.
You just
getting
said
used
something.
to the
Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say getting used to the quiet. That is one of the hardest parts. Is
That is very
getting
hard.
used to the quiet when they're not here.
That is surreal.
But like that, it takes time. But once that's good, you're good there. Then it's like okay, I'm all right. But that for me, that was the hardest part. I'm like, what? Because anytime there was quiet before, something was happening, and now it's like no, they're just not here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you said something there with sports, right? When you were talking about your show schedule, you mentioned that you might miss sports and you might miss dinner, but now you're there for sports and now you're there for dinner because you have to be. So do you think in a way you've formed maybe a stronger bond because you've put bodybuilding to the side and you're making being a dad the number one responsibility now?
like the dad, being a dad was always the first responsibility, right? But when you have a partner who can take some of the workload for you, like the kids aren't the wiser, right? Because the homework is getting done, the food is getting fed, right? Like the kids are getting baths. And I'm not saying that like I missed that stuff round the clock, but it wasn't like if I finished the gym at 7:30, right? It was I'll catch them at 7:30 or I'll catch them at 8, right? No big deal. But like when it's you and it's just you, nothing else matters at all.
Right.
Like no gym matters. Like you know, the work schedule. So my kids, I live 5 minutes from the school. Kids go to aftercare. School wraps at 2. Kids go to aftercare. I pick them up. I wrap up work at 5, but I always dash over there at 4:30, grab them, bring them back, situate them with a snack, finish the last half hour of work, and then at 5 o'clock, it's like, all right, what are we doing? So it's an adjustment, man. It's a hard. Anybody who has been through it knows. But you got to just continue to show up every day for your kids. That's it.
I love that. You also said that when you were going through your bodybuilding, you reached out on social media, right? Social media trends. And social media was an aspect that maybe got you into bodybuilding. You know, you probably looked at others and you said, I want that physique. But when we talk about social media and a relationship, how do you think that might have impacted your marriage or what social media portrayed when, you know, I don't know, when you weren't there or when you were at the gym or something like that?
Man, okay. So I've spent a lot of time trying to kind of dissect. Let me preface before I kind of get into the guts of that, right? So, you know, I think generally speaking that social media, if not controlled, can be very toxic. It can be toxic for your relationship. It can be toxic
Agreed.
for yourself. You can doom scroll and spiral down a rabbit hole at 2 a.m. or 10 o'clock at night. I think it's bad for your eyes, the screen time at night. I think that there is a, facade of like what else is out there. Like on the bodybuilding side, right? I would see these guys, these Olympian athletes, you know, who were my height and around, you know, so in bodybuilding, you've got like the open class and you've got classic physique and you've got men's physique, and men's physique are like my build. And, you know, I was like, I could look like these guys. And then, so you try to emulate them, and you try to emulate because you fantasize about like, man, a sponsorship with a supplement company would be insane. Like, and they just pay you to travel, and like, that could be my job. And
because that's expensive. Supplements are expensive.
Supplements are expensive. The aspect of bodybuilding to prep for a show is expensive. So on top of the training and the coaching,
all of it,
you got to pay for the show. You got to pay for a flight or a hotel. You got to pay for the tanning. You got to pay for the admission. You got to pay for the what they call the NPC card, just your qualification, just to be able to compete. Like, it is easily probably a $2,000 expense for a show, right? So it's expensive.
And
it's
I thought golfing was expensive.
Yeah. Well, that's how I kind of resonated. Like, I don't golf, right? So some guys who spend a lot of money on golf clubs, right? Like my vice was spending money on, like, you know, a proper weight training belt or something like that. So, or good grips and wrist straps, something like that. But so you start to emulate these people or think you're emulating them. And in actuality, like, it's really just unattainable. And then on the relationship side, like, I'm sure you both have, you know, scrolled, and then all of a sudden your algorithm picks up and you start to get all of these same repetitive type videos, whether they're food eating challenges or, you know, like car crashes.
I can't open my Instagram in public because it's all asses.
Okay. Well, I'm sure your wife's going to love to hear that.
Oh, she knows. I show her. We
Yeah,
compare.
she
It's a good. Listen, I'm in a completely different relationship now. She is so cool. She does. Listen,
I'm
go
sure
on though.
Callie
But
knows.
I can't open my Instagram in public because it's nothing but butts.
So when you start this social media trend, and I would implore anybody who's kind of going through some hard times to look it up. But there's a TikTok trend called "Date Them Till You Hate Them," and what the trend is basically is a quiet exit. Like maybe you heard a quiet exit in the workplace, but this is quiet exit in your relationship, right? So you date them till you hate them, where basically you just stop caring, and because you think, what else could there be? What else is out there? And you stop focusing on like what you have, and you start going down this rabbit hole of like, what else is there in life? So I think that social media is super toxic. I think that anybody can fall kind of victim to, whether it's bodybuilding or relationship. If you start, there is and I wish I had written it down for this, but there is a podcast that I saw from Joe Rogan, and I will think of the phrase, because it is actually a trend, but the more you dwell about your problems, like the more they come to the surface, right? And the more that you kind of fantasize about like this is my life, then number one, the more bullshit you see on social media, and the more you spiral, right, in this tornado of bullshit, which isn't really bullshit, because if we all took our problems and threw it into a pile, you'd reach for your own problems back, because some of the shit that everybody else goes through is not that big of a deal, right? So I will say, I think social media is toxic. I will say that a quiet exit is a real mind fuck. But the opposite, when you get out of that tunnel, and you have real good friends around you, and you can kind of dust off, and you get to a position where you leave the past and you stop. I'm a huge advocate, and I was never an advocate for this, but I'm a huge advocate for therapy. And something that my therapist told me was put down the detective kit. You're not Sherlock Holmes. Like, stop looking for answers that are not there or that you really don't want. Leave it, right? So you get to a point where you basically draw a line in the sand, and you step across that line, and you don't look back anymore. So here's what I got, right? I got two amazing kids that are like everything in the world to me. I found an amazing girl, and I'm dating an amazing girl, and the chapter behind me is behind me, and I got my kids out of it, and I wouldn't change anything for how I got to this point in my life. But I do think, kind of tying back to the theme of what we just said, I think that social media is toxic. And if you let it consume you, it will consume you, and you won't even see it coming. One day you'll just be spiraling in this depression, and it'll be self-inflicted, because it's all of the reels that you watch on TikTok, and that's how you put yourself in this depression.
Holding yourself there.
That's right.
That you're the only one that can get yourself out of it. You have to stop thinking the way you're thinking, and it just one day at a time, baby steps.
That's it.
Put it to bed, all of it. Just, you can't change it. You can't fix it. And my biggest thing is always just trying to fix shit, and I'm just like, I can't. So, but like also seeing every outcome, and then trying to manipulate every situation into getting, like, making sure the worst case scenario never happens, but then you dwell and worst case scenario happens, and it's like, no, just let it go.
Yeah,
Everything's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. But yeah, my therapist the same way. It's like, you're not like I'm my own worst enemy. Yeah. I make my own problems, and I'm like, you're 1,000% right. Like, I will defend myself when I don't need to defend myself. I will, like, keep working. Just keep working on yourself.
Two of my relationships that I exited, one being my high school relationship that ended in college, and then my relationship with Kelsey. Like you said, Mike, you sit there and you be a detective, and I'm friends with them on social media, and I'm scrolling. What are they doing today? What does their story look like? And it wasn't until I pushed the boundary so much that we had to unfriend each other that I was like, okay, this is over. Move on. Don't worry. Like, even to this day, myself and Kelsey, my daughter's mother, we're not friends on social media. Everything's fine in real life, but we are not friends on social media just because we decided we didn't need to be when we split up. And even though like that was so hard for me to comprehend, because and you and I, Nick, have talked about this, where like you want to know everything, and it's just like it's not healthy. And Mike, does the story of social media tie into kind of what you did to I guess take the marriage off the rails, or was that just like an overarching theme?
Man,
and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to.
Man, I don't know how to answer that, to be honest. So what I will say is, I will say that, look, there are 2 sides, 3 sides to every story, right?
Yep.
I will say
yours, hers, and the truth.
That's it. So I will say that anybody who has watched over like the last year through social media, has seen like just a real false portrayal of arrogance and gaslighting. And so I think that social media, when you crave it, when you crave the attention of others, like I don't post very often, and when I used to post, it was really just bodybuilding stuff. But when you crave the attention of others, when you can't be present in the moment at like, during a sunset, and you care more about posting the photo of the sunset than like putting your phone down, like you have a problem.
Yes.
And when you have to check how many likes you have on this photo, there's a problem. And when you seek validation from other people, there's a problem. And at some point, you can beat your head against the wall and try to make somebody realize the path they're going down. But when they are consumed with the admiration of others, you have to decide, like, what this is insane, right? Like, this is not a partnership. And it is best to cut ties, and that's it. And so I think social media played a factor in it. I think there were other circumstances, that played a factor in it. I think that, I've kept for the majority of 2025, I've kept my mouth shut because I'm not trying to, start anything, certainly on social media, because, I'm a grown adult. Not everybody feels that way. And that's it. I would say you just got to leave that toxicity behind, and that's it.
Well, that's it. Let's leave it behind. I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's a deep subject to talk about. I know that we've all been there. Like even myself, I have stopped posting on social media so much, and I want to get back into posting, and it's not for the obsession of likes or anything like that, but what it's really come to for me is seeing the memories. Back in the day, I used Snapchat when Kinsley was little, and a lot of my life back then is all documented in Snapchat memories. And even now, I love seeing the Facebook memories pop up of Kinsley when she was 1, 2, 3 years old, of us 15, 16, 17 years ago. And the one thing that I stopped posting on social media was just because I was like, there's no point. Like I don't, it takes on a life of itself. It's a whole nother responsibility. And with everything else I have in my life, like I don't need to look at these photos and pick which ones are good and write a caption. But now it's changed where it's like, this is my documentation of like my life. And this is a way for me to remember my kids when they were younger and the times that we had, because we've talked about how MySpace was gone last episode and we wish MySpace was still there. Well, in 20 years, I don't want to be like, oh, all of my memories are sitting in a thumb drive somewhere that I don't look at, or I could just click back on my memories and it pops up on Facebook. And
you're assuming those servers are going to be there though.
Well,
you're assuming that they're not going to go by the way of the MySpace,
If Facebook and Gmail and Google have gone, the world's gone.
Fair, I guess, but I like the cloud. Like I get the same thing on my phone. I'm looking at my phone every day. My iPhone every day gives me a new picture every single day. I don't have to go on social media. Social media for me now is just a tool. And the only ones I really only do it for us. I'm only really posting now.
But the cloud doesn't put where you were, and it's like I get what you're saying.
No, it'll
definitely does, dude.
Tell you.
It tells you exactly where you were. It knows Orlando. It knows location. Dude, everything's you can turn it off, but
you don't have an iPhone,
geolocation.
Chris. Is
I don't.
Yeah, that's your
don't
problem.
iPhone,
You're Team Droid, so yeah. Well, now they're blue because they can go blue now, but.
Yeah, we have RCS now so we can talk to you. Different story, but yes, I see what you're saying. I've never subscribed to the cloud, and I don't get those album things. The Android does do that. I don't know. It was a weird thing back in the day when I was like, I don't want my information to be in the cloud, so I don't know. My information's everywhere, but
right, they already have it. What are you worried about, dude? You don't have an encrypted phone. They have everything you've ever done, dude. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
Fun fact: they know your social security number too, dude. It's crazy.
You can take my social security. I don't got shit. So, any lessons to tie in the beginning? Any lessons from fraternity life that you carried into parenting at all? Do you feel that raising littles was being a parent, and have you don't shake your head, Nick?
For sure. So yeah, I think that the responsibility that you have to see somebody through pledgeship and beyond can resonate with what it's like to raise little kids, for sure. They throw tantrums, they're expensive, you're accountable for them at all times. I think there's definitely a correlation and a line can be drawn between being a big brother in a fraternity and being a dad. I do want to say, and I wanted to chime in just as a quick side note when you had talked about unfriending on social media. I think that as hard as it is, not as hard as it is to unfriend. I think that is crucial in the process. I think that cutting ties, social media, and not just unfriending, but unfriending even maybe the first layer of the circle of friends.
Yeah. To not see in friends posts.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I did that. I think it was very therapeutic for me. I think that from again, just to kind of chalk up the kind of a nail on this part. So I think that going no contact as best as you can is crucial, right? Obviously, when you have kids involved, that's not so easy to do. When you keep it strictly to kid-based and you put the detective kit down, you stop asking questions, and it's just hey, what time is pickup? What do I need to know? This. You treat it like a business, right? Funds are exchanged, finances, that's it. I think that when you get to a point mentally that you are prepared, and I, you go through the ebb and flow of the grief process, and you never really know how it's going to ping back and forth from layers of, call it, resentment to anger to acceptance and sadness, and you kind of go round the horn, but there's never really a specific order in which they go, and that's fine, and you can bounce back and forth. But I will say, when you firmly step across the acceptance line and you shut that chapter behind and you do things like seek therapy and you do things like the no contact and the unfriend, and you find yourself in a really good place where you can look at yourself and know that you're a good dad and you are mentally prepared to start anew with somebody new and invest your time and effort into somebody new, you will find out that, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Like, just like, you know, Chris, I didn't ask you if you're married now, but I know Nick, I didn't ask you if you're married. Chris, I know your situation. So, you know, you went through that dark time with your daughter's mom, and now you're in a much better place. You guys are in a position where you're friends. All of that stuff to say, like, you know, I'm in those early stages, but I've firmly crossed that line and look forward to the next chapter.
Yeah. It really is all about healing.
I was gonna say, unfortunately, I'm not best friends with my ex-wife, but I've tried. I mean, it's not for not lack of trying. There's just a bunch of resentment there, and I mean, it is what it is. I can't change it, so I try to make the best out of the situation. I mean, we're cordial, but it's not any more than that. You know, we did mutual birthdays and stuff when she was younger, but it just we're good.
I get it.
And I think it's A and B, right? Between Nick and I, you know, you asked me 9 years ago, I would have never told you that we would have been friends again. You know, I would have told you there's no way that she's ever babysitting my children with another relationship. And time is funny. I think growth is funny. You know, you're in a different time of your life where Kinsley was so young and we were so young to where we could have just not talked anymore. And I don't know what happened or what changed, but I remember getting out of our legal battle and her coming to me and like giving me a hug and just being like, we could have saved so much money, you know, over the last like 3 years. And it was kind of like, well, fuck you for saying that, but yeah, you're kind of right.
Yeah, I would have been like, no, thank you, don't touch me, please.
Yeah. Like, so I don't know. I don't know what changed. I don't know when the flip switched. Time heals, and I hope that you find the right path, brother. That's, you know, whether it's my path or whether it's Nick's path, you'll find the right path.
You're well on your way, and whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. But you're doing the right things. Therapy. I mean, just talking to you, I'm like, no, you're very level headed, and at this point in time, and you're well on your way.
I appreciate that.
Responsibility, dad life, fatherhood, separation. It's all very heavy, and I appreciate you sharing all of it, especially, like I said, I mean, I'm going to text you later because I really want to just have like a off-the-cuff conversation with you. I know we were supposed to connect a few weeks ago, and we weren't able to, but I want to end the episode on something a little bit lighter, and one of my core memories, I don't know if it's a core memory or not, but you know, we would go out and we would drink and we would come back to the fraternity house, and you gave me so much shit back in the day, and one of the things that you always wanted to do was you wanted to get drunk and fight me or wrestle me, and I, you know, I didn't want to because, you know, like I said, before security, I wasn't that guy, and I remember at first I was like, no, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to wrestle you. I don't want to do any of this. And then afterwards, you're like, fuck this guy. Like, all right, you want to tussle? Let's tussle. And it was always in good fun and good faith. And one of the things that has brought us kind of back together, if you might say, is wrestling. And, you know, I recently started jumping on this podcast called Major Push Wrestling at Papa Gino 0017 on YouTube. You're welcome, Gino. I'll throw you a little plug there. And I went to his show and I saw AJ Parsons for the first time. That was great. and I think you had took your kids to like SmackDown or Raw or something, and you messaged me on Instagram that you were doing it, and it was just something that you could connect with from your childhood to with your kids now. Where did your love for wrestling come from, and how do your kids tie into that, and where did that passion come from?
Man, so I'm sure just like you, I was enamored by the Stone Cold Rock age, right? 98, 99, the Attitude Era, all of that good stuff with DX. And like that was just the thing to do, right? I would watch it religiously, 6, 7, 8 years old. And then like I went to a handful of shows. Like I remember a couple of birthday parties, like when I was 8, 9, 10, 11, right? Like it was, New Jersey, New York. So I've been in the Garden a couple of times. I was in,
That's awesome.
I don't even remember the name of the,
Barclays Center?
No. It would have been in Newark. But it's relevant. So,
with the Nets, were the Nets playing?
Well, the Nets play at Barclays, right? Where do the Nets used to play?
The New Jersey Nets.
Correct. Where do they used to play?
For that, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. It's irrelevant. Okay. All right. So, bunch of shows in the 90s, and then I went to WrestleMania in Orlando in 2008, and then I went...
Meadowlands.
Meadowlands was the arena. Like
Meadowlands is where the
Giants play.
Giants and Jets play.
Correct.
That's not the Nets, the basketball team, New Jersey Nets, before they moved to Brooklyn.
Right. So
Google better.
Yeah. So Mania in 2008 in Orlando,
That's cool.
And then Mania, I don't know what year, but like one at MetLife Stadium, and then one in Miami, and then like
oh wow,
yeah. So and then the other one in Orlando. There's 2 in Orlando. So I've been to 4.
You've been to that many manias.
I've been to 4. And then
do you remember what you paid?
Yeah, under $400. Probably in the sweet spot. Probably like the 08 one was probably like $180.
Bro, I paid $1,200 for Mania last year in Vegas.
Yeah, section like 200s. That's crazy.
So dumb, dude.
So
dumb.
Yeah, like so the kids they got really, really into like the Royal Rumbles because they love the countdowns and they love like, the music, the pyro, like that's how it started. So they started watching the Rumbles and stuff. And then they got really, really into it. And then we went to, I think they've probably been to like 4 shows between Orlando and Miami, 1 in Fort Lauderdale, right? So they've been to a bunch of shows in the last couple of years, and like they love it. They absolutely love going, and the music, the pyro, like they know, I would say probably 80% of the roster at this point.
Yeah, that's awesome. Carter, who's only 2, his favorite wrestler is John Cena, and when he was, obviously Cena is on his retirement tour, so Cena's music's playing all the time. Ba ba da ba. And when he's 1.5, he hears his music, and he walks by, and he's like ba ba da ba, and I'm like, oh, you like John Cena? And so I start watching old matches with him. Yeah. And when we're in the car, I'm putting the song on, and every time it comes on, he's like ba ba da ba. So now his favorite wrestler is John Cena. He's actually gonna dress up for him
That's awesome.
For Halloween this year.
How are you gonna see him?
You can't see me. That's our handshake.
You're gonna lose Carter. You're gonna lose Carter.
That's our handshake for bedtime. When I say goodnight to him, I say goodnight. I love you. I say ba ba da ba. He does it back. And that's our closing. So awesome. It's a different connection because my girls like watching wrestling, and I think it's a little bit different now because the women's division is so strong.
It's huge.
It is, and so like Kinsley likes Tiffany Stratton. I'm like, great choice, and Tegan is a little bit too young to know names, but she watches. She's enamored by it, and even like one night, Kinsley was like, oh. She goes, "Is that a man? Who is she asking about?"
Charlotte.
Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, that's not
Ripley.
fair.
That would have
Oh.
been my second guess.
Rhea Ripley.
Who's the
but,
chick
you know-
on NXT? That Bailey, maybe? No.
Well, Bailey's
She's from Baylor.
WWE
No,
now.
the chick from Baylor that was a cheerleader.
Oh.
Cheerleader?
From Baylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, then now she's a wrestler that's just throwing chicks around.
Sol Ruka.
No. There's somebody on that. What's that? Like that show called LFG, right? Like the
Oh,
developmental
LF.
one?
I haven't watched that, but yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that's who he's referring to. I haven't seen it either.
Okay.
But like just on, he's right. Her name.
It's
is
like
Bailey,
a Brock.
and-
Yeah, it's
she's
like Brock
massive.
Lesnar of the women's division. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Really?
Like,
Yeah.
dude, her finishing is incredible. She just throws people, dude. But no, my daughter's was Bailey, the other Bailey. Bailey.
Oh, Bailey. I don't like Bailey. I don't like it at all. Who are your kids' favorites? Do you listen? Are they in tune with any of the theme songs? What's some of their favorite songs to sing?
They were Jimmy and Jay Uso last year for Halloween.
Shut up. I'm gonna have to go back on Facebook.
I think so they were Jimmy and Jay, and I was Roman. So that was I'm almost certain that was last year. But so Jimmy and Jay are their favorite. They like Cody Rhodes a lot. And like every drive to school is just usually Jay Uso's song, and then Cody Rhodes' song, and then I probably AJ Styles' song. So we've got a whole playlist, and they just call out a name, and it's like that's all they listen to on the way to school. But I'll tell you, my Carter is 7, and so their attention span, like they watch like the YouTube reels, like they can tell me stuff like he's like, hey, can you put on the match for John Cena and Randy Orton in the cage? And I'm like, where did you see that? And he's like, on YouTube. So they watch because they're 30-second attention span. Like they just click, swipe. So that's where they watch most of the show on.
How does that translate to going from the 30-second clip to the 35-minute match? Do they watch the whole match?
So this is almost exactly how it goes. So they'll watch like 4 or 5 minutes of the show or a match, and then they'll start wrestling each other. And then they've got like these life-size, like they're actually like MMA dummies, but they're like body-shaped guys. And so they'll drag them out into the living room, and they're doing flying elbows off the ottoman or the beanbag chair, like they're beating the crap out of each other. And that's how it goes. And then they'll calm down, they'll sit back down. Yeah, I do join in. So,
why not? Of course.
It's Monday nights are a madness over here.
Do you remember challenging me all the time in the backyard or coming home from the bar and be like, let's fucking
go.
fight.
Let's go. I'll knock you out.
I'm gonna knock you out. His eyes
sweaty over here.
No, his eyes aren't open. I'm gonna knock you out. Mike, go to bed, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, big sweaty.
It's great, man. I think one of the joys of just having children is just being able to take your generation of stuff and showing it to them, and when they like it and they run with it, you're like, this is really cool. Even if it's 30 seconds, 4 or 5 minutes before they start doing it themselves, they'll take these memories, and I'm sure as they get older, they'll watch wrestling and it will just continue with the kids that they have, and that's what's great about wrestling.
And just as a breakaway from wrestling for a second, the reverse of that is, so I've never watched a soccer game in my entire life, but they are obsessed, absolutely obsessed. Carter's obsessed with Messi, and Chase is obsessed with Ronaldo. And so they both play soccer. They both have been playing soccer for 3 years. They're both really good. And so I took them to the Inter Miami game so they could see Messi play. So that was something like for them, $600 later, and Messi decided to be on the sidelines that game and didn't
in Orlando.
No, in down here in South Florida.
Okay. He never plays here in Orlando. Every time they're here, he's on the. He's on the.
They should tell you when he's gonna play or not play.
No, then they won't sell tickets. They know what they
Well,
got. They know
yeah.
what they got.
So, but
Because they're trash.
Any last questions, Nick, on wrestling before we kind of wrap it up here?
Oh no. I don't think so. No.
Well, Mike, my last question to you is, you've led us, you've raised kids. When you think about the word brotherhood now, after college, after fatherhood, after separation, what does that word honestly mean to you in the today's version of Mike Gore?
man, that's a good one. Give me 2 quick seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it. Okay. So, man, so you go through 05 to 09 college life, right? I mentioned absent in 05, kind of got started 06, was in a leadership position 07, 08, left in 09, left with a handful of friends, moved down here. It's now 2025. I'm sure the composites are long off the wall. The dust has faded. My room looks nothing like it used to. The loft has been torn down and put back up. What does brotherhood in 2025 mean? It means, man, I just went through like probably the hardest year of my life. And there are 5 guys from Kappa Sig that like were my core to get me through this last year. Phone calls, group chats, individual chats, check-ins every day, every couple of days. Like, so, you go from 120 guys, in 2005, 20 years later, how apropos now 20 years later, actually, and this is totally, I went through in October of 05, and here we are in October of 2025. So 20 years later, from 120 guys, a brotherhood with 5 guys that got me through some real hard shit. And, man, if that's not just what the definition of like the fraternity life should be to get you through like that next phase of your life. And, in 2015, the group was probably 15, 20 guys. And then here it is, a decade later, you've got just the core. And that's what you take. That's what you take on for life.
Yeah. I love that. I love it, man. I love it. I'm so happy that you reached out and we kind of connected for you to be here. It's like I said, it's been years. I'm definitely going to text you later to just have a normal, regular conversation after this. It's funny that the first interaction we have in so long is on a podcast, but
hey, it worked out well.
It's good to see how far you've come. Like I said, I took so much away. I've never said this to you, but I took so much away from college from you and because of you. And even though, we have not been the closest, big and little, past the 10 years or so, you definitely have had an impact on my life. And you're somebody that when I think about some of the best times in my life, you were there. It's
likewise.
And for me, like that's what it's about, right? Like you said, taking 100 guys and 20 years later dwindling down them to 5, but there's still that outer layer of 10, 15, 20 guys that still matter, even if they're not there every day. And that's kind of where I think of you and I put you. And yeah, man, just I appreciate you being here and I appreciate everything you did for me in college.
Happy to be here, man. And I agree with what you said. And I echo it. Some of my fondest memories in college, you were right there for. So, let's not wait another 10 years until we see each other.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Well, if any part of today's episode hit home, please share it with a friend. Tag us at CrodsPod on Instagram. Help us keep this conversation going. I know that there's a lot of fraternity brothers out there who listen. So if you're kind of in the same boat as Mike to where we just, maybe it's been 10 years, reach out. Let's reconnect. I know that this podcast has done that for a handful of my Beta Gamma brothers. And, we didn't even talk about the lake house. We didn't talk about our trip to New York. Who knows? We might have to have you back on if you can find the time.
Yeah, man.
But we drop new episodes every Thursday. Oh man, that trip to New York, something else.
That was good.
Or New York, New Jersey, or wherever we went. But if any part of today's episodes hits home, we drop new episodes every Thursday morning. We're live on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeart. If you have a story, a topic, or you just need to vent, please email us at crodspod@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. We are here to talk to or talk for you. Our safe space is your outlet. I want to say that I drank this whole bottle of wine, and maybe that was why it was so hard to say the end of this thing. It's definitely the most I've drank on an episode. You said a few shots, a few drinks, but I made a whole bottle.
Well, yeah, that would probably be a first. Thank you, Mike, for coming on.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you, Nick. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing your story. It is a pleasure to meet you as well.
Likewise.
AKDB. I love you, brother.
Man. I love you too, man.
Hey, until next time, live fast, eat ass, and take care of your damn self, no matter what time it is.